hey, I need you to do this thing every day, or when you come home, you got to do it. You don't really want to do it, but you got to do it because they have something for you on the other end of that if you do what you're supposed to do. If you're disciplined with what they ask you to do, there's a reward for it. So I feel led to do this. It keeps finding me. People come to me and ask me to help them collect history and things like that.
Welcome to Lunch with Leaders, the podcast where we explore what it takes to lead, thrive, and create lasting impact. I'm Adesileji Dogalanya, a TEDx speaker, leadership strategist, and the founder of African Women in STEM. Each episode features insightful conversations with innovators, trailblazers, and leaders from around the world who are transforming cultures, redefining leadership, and shaping the future of work. Together, we'll share the stories, strategies, and mindsets that will empower women in STEM to amplify their visibility, influence, and impact. So if you're ready to lead boldly, amplify your voice, and help influence what leadership looks like for women in STEM, hit follow, share this podcast, and join us every week for impactful conversations, powerful stories, and practical strategies. Hello, so welcome back. So today, our guest is Dr. Antonia Arnold-McFarland. I'm going to go ahead and read her bio. All right, so Dr. Antonia is an accomplished STEM professional. She has over 25 years of experience, and this spans product support, operations, and manufacturing. She has a BSc in mechanical engineering and an MBA in global management from the University of Phoenix. She also minored in African American studies, and this fuels her passion for cultural intellect, self-discovery, and illuminating the lived experiences of the African American community. So Tony's career is marked by impactful contributions, groundbreaking leadership, and she's participated in a lot of Kaizens. She spent 13 years as a Six Sigma Black Belt, and she's the first manager of STEM diversity advancement role. Dr. Antonia is also a lifetime member of the National Society of Black Engineers, and she is a former chapter president and founder of the RTP and NSB Junior. But now she serves as an executive advisor. And under her leadership, the chapter has received multiple awards, including Chapter of the Year for pre-college, collegiate, and professional programming. She also contributes to fundraising as a fundraising chair and serves as a deputy director of the NSB Process Improvement Special Interest Group. So beyond her corporate work and NSB work, Dr. Antonia is also the founder and president of United Shades of STEM. And she sits on engineering advisory boards at the North Carolina State, North Carolina A&T, and supports FIRST Robotics. She also leverages her broad network to open pathways for all youth to pursue STEM. A contemporary griot, we're going to talk about that. Genealogy researcher and history curator, Dr. Antonia is dedicated to telling stories that preserve legacy and inspire future generations. Okay, I'm more excited than I was before we started this. So welcome, Dr. Antonia, and I'm so glad to have you here today.
I do want to just mention a couple of things. People ask me, how do these touch points come together? My doctorate is in ministry. I have a doctorate in ministry in creative arts, and it was on the evolution of African American worship. And I was able to leverage my Six Sigma expertise in my doctoral work and research. I do have that. I have books that are available on Amazon and marketplaces where you can get digital, you can get ebooks, or you can get hard copies. So I'll work that in here some kind of way.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. We're going to share that in the show notes so that you can all of you listening, go to Amazon and find Dr. Antonia's books. Okay, that's incredible. That's really incredible. So let's start with your, STEM career.
Yes.
So you spent decades in engineering, in quality systems, process improvement, and leadership in STEM. And I know we talked about the fact that you realize that engineering isn't just about the products or the things that we make.
Right, the hands-on.
But it's about people and possibilities. Can you shed some light on that?
Sure. So just to kind of make it easy, if we didn't have people involved, what would engineering mean to the world, right? Because you're solving problems that impact humanity, impact the planet, that makes life easier, makes life better for us. So when I'm talking to a lot of students, especially, they get really excited about being techy and being hands-on and building and being creative, which is all great. However, if you're not engaging with the community around that, how are you making impact and how are you shaping the world to make it a better place? So it's very important to have people skills. It's very important to be able to make sure what you're doing is practical. It's serving others. And I spend a lot of time making sure that our future STEM professionals have character. We don't want them to be bad actors with their brains, right? We want the brains to be, brilliance that's used to make the world a better place.
I agree because I kind of think about it at the end of the day, especially with AI and what AI is doing right now, we kind of act like people don't matter. But the reality is, whatever we are building or producing with AI, we're not building or producing it for AI. We're doing that for people.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we have these conversations and we talk about how we remove people from the equation, I'm like, I don't even know how that is going to work out. So I'm glad that you brought this up because especially as engineers or STEM professionals, whatever we build or develop, we have to think about the end user, which for the most part are other people. So having those skills, having empathy, and all of that comes together.
Yeah, it's community that makes the world go around. I have multiple groups that I'm a part of, communities, my STEM communities, NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. I'm also in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So that's another community that I engage with. Your family, that's a community. Your church, where you worship, that's a community. So we have all these different communities that are the ecosystem of our life. And engineering is just one way that we are interacting with these communities. And sometimes we'll leverage them at a broader scale to impact society.
Yeah, that's so true. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it, at least for everyone listening, just kind of brings to mind the reason why we do the things we do, regardless of the career that you find yourself in.
Right.
And you teach process improvement methodologies and you teach that to organizations, but you also teach that to people on how to implement that in their lives, really. Because sometimes we don't find that those two can work together. People apply engineering and problem-solving principles to their personal growth and also their career decisions.
So similarly, you have a big problem that you're trying to solve. We all can find that, right? We all have something that's a hurdle that we lose sleep over. It's a burden. We could just get this one thing behind us. Oh, life would be so good on the other side. At least that's what we think. So basically, you have this big problem. You have to break it apart. You have to break this thing down into chunks that you can analyze, right? And basically, that's what engineering is. We have a big problem, but we have to break that thing apart. And on the tech side and engineering, where we call it decompositioning the problem, right? The other thing, too, is that we have to understand how compartments work together. There's a system there, right? This is system thinking, okay? Just like your body is a system. You have your circulatory system, your respiratory system, your nervous system, and all of that works together for your body to function. When something gets out of order or not working right, there's going to be some sign that tells you something's not right. So when you have a big problem that you're trying to break down in your life and you need to figure out how you're going to get on the other side of it, well, you have to say, well, what affects the outcome that I'm trying to get to? You start out with your high level big buckets of things. I call them buckets or just big sections. You have to break this thing apart. Then you drill down each one of those and you keep doing that till you get to the root causes of what affects the thing up several layers up. And then you focus on those. In a nutshell, that's how it works in life. You can apply that type of thinking to pretty much any problem you're trying to solve. Now, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to solve the root causes. You just may be aware of them and you have to mitigate them. Some problems don't go away. We just learn to live with them or we learn to mitigate them and they're less of an impact to us. You have to weigh out the pros and cons of what it's going to take to solve it. But just speaking generally in life, some things may be problems that we learn to live with or problems that go away on their own. Maybe something else will happen and it gets worked out and it's no longer a problem. Sometimes time is what we need to overcome a wound or something that we need to heal from in our life. The main takeaway here is break that big problem apart. Break it down into sections that are significant, and you keep breaking down each of those sections into smaller little granular parts until you get to, here's the thing I can control. I could do better X, Y, and Z. Or, you know what? I can't control this, but I can mitigate how I go about it. I can't control the weather, but I might could watch the news to see when I should take my walk every day, right? So that's how you have to think about it.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. Because again, sometimes, especially as human beings, we don't want to be uncomfortable. So depending on your personality, something happens, you kind of jump to like, let's take care of this. And it's like what came to my mind when you were talking is kind of like slapping a plaster over something and not even trying to figure out what's underneath.
Right.
But to your point, when you break it apart, at a minimum, it gives you clarity.
Yes.
And then the next step will be to do what you say, which is it something I'm going on its own? Is it something I need to mitigate? Is it something that I can actually solve? And if it is, maybe the way you're going to solve it now that you know what's happening is different from how you would have solved it before.
Yes.
So that's it. I mean, that's a really good way to get a couple of things.
Systems everywhere. Like, and maybe I'm getting ahead a little bit, but I love the solar system. I have been looking up ever since I was probably about 10, 11. Once I realized the solar system had all these different planets and everything, it's a system. Life is full of systems and compartments that interact. Your car is full of systems. You have to learn how to maintain your car based on those systems. You have your charging system, you have your steering system, your cooling system. And once you understand how these systems work and how they interwork or interconnect, when something goes wrong with one, it may impact another. Then that's when you have to learn how to diagnose that problem, and see what those interdependencies are.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that we don't necessarily think about interdependencies in our own personal lives, but it is.
Exactly.
It is there. When we're one person, but we're really not one person. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, there's mind, body, and spirit if you're into that. And there's in the mind, body, and spirit, there are all these other systems, like you said, that kind of work together and interact with each other. So that's actually a very interesting conversation. All right. So I want to talk about what I had read in your bio where you said that you are a contemporary griot. I mean, first of all, you have to define it for us because, most of us know what it is, all right? A genealogy researcher and a history curator. And thank you for sharing that you did your PhD, what you did your PhD in, but this is not something that people typically assign to someone in STEM, for example, a leader in STEM. But can you tell us more about how you found yourself in this space, why you're in it, and why it is important for us to preserve stories and legacy as leaders and as community builders?
So first of all, I know there's PhD people. I have a doctorate in ministry, so there are different types of doctors. So I want people to, she sit up there and say, it's a doctor of ministry. There's different types of doctors. And you get the one that you need for what you're trying to do. Now, so to answer your question, why is this important? We learn from what has already happened. That's just so key for everything in life. What has already happened in this space? Sometimes it's not happened before. I might be the first. You might be the trailblazer. Maybe something didn't happen. That's the data point. There was nothing for me. That's the data I got to try to overcome. But basically, learning how you got to where you are. Okay. How do I get to this point? How to get to this current state? That's what we do on the engineering side. Whenever I have to solve a problem, I have to get some background on it. Give me the context. Okay. Now, once you get there and you analyze how I got to this point, and then I figure out, where am I trying to go? Leveraging where I am and understanding how I got there has a lot to do with where I'm headed. What are the things that are going to impact where I want to go? How am I going to get there? What can I learn from my past that could be impacting my future? All right. So breaking that down, why did I choose to kind of get into this historical curating space? You know what? I didn't choose it. It chose me. It chose me. And when you're called to do something, because you don't really want to do it, but you feel led to do it. Like you feel nudged. Maybe you remember growing up when your parents might have said, hey, I need you to do this thing every day, or when you come home, you got to do it. You don't really want to do it, but you got to do it because they have something for you on the other end of that if you do what you're supposed to do. If you're disciplined with what they ask you to do, there's a reward for it. So I feel led to do this. It keeps finding me. People come to me and ask me to help them collect history and things like that. It's not something that I am out looking to do, although I do find it interesting, but it comes natural for me to look at what has happened and see the narrative of it, see the story that is unfolding, and leverage that to shape what is to come. It's a sense of discernment. When you look at what has already occurred, you can gain some insights from it to discern what is to come. So I think of it like that when we get back to the term griot. Mm-hmm. This is the storyteller. This is that oral tradition storyteller that knows everything that's happening in that African village or the community that where we are right now. Everyone has a griot in their family. There's somebody, aunt so-and-so or uncle whoever, or a great G-ma, whoever that is. They know all the history of the family or a good portion of it. And it's probably not written down. Mm-hmm. We need to write it down. We need to record it. We need to document it. And fast forward with AI, here's a responsible use. You can actually just sit and record yourself and let AI document it for you. Mm-hmm. And you can shape it. Now, you may want your own touch, your human intervention in there on, how it's going to look. But at least you have it recorded. Like so many of the great books, even the Bible, that's full of stories that someone had to write and document. Mm-hmm. Someone had to pull those together so we can gain insights from those. So basically, that's it. Like I found my place in this because, like I said, it found me. And I've always had this why ever since I was a child. It's just something about my DNA. I asked why a lot. Mm-hmm. My parents never told me to stop asking why. I even had some books to say, tell me why. My mother bought these books because we asked why. I asked why a lot, and I still do. And when you ask why a lot, you're actually learning the backdrop. You're learning the context. You're learning the narrative. You're learning the story.
Yeah, I think it's when you say that, I was just thinking about the fact that especially children ask why a lot. For the most part, they get the response of you ask too many questions.
Yes, usually.
So, which is why when we become adults, we don't ask why enough. And that means that we're suppressing our curiosity. Mm-hmm. And that makes it that much more difficult for us to be fully expressed or live our full potential or build that thing that we're supposed to build.
Exactly.
So to your point with storytelling, it's actually a really good way to kind of come back to that, because when you're telling a story, you're pretty much responding to why.
Exactly.
Why is so and so? That's because once upon a time, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, there's this thing about public speaking that most people, that they're afraid of public speaking, or that they're afraid of telling stories because they're like, oh, I don't speak. But I feel like you tell stories all the time, from the time you wake up to when you go to bed. You're either telling somebody a story or you're telling yourself a story. So if you decide that when you're driving on the street, somebody cut you in traffic, you tell yourself a story about the person, which 99.999% of the time is false. I think we do that automatically, especially for things that don't necessarily serve us. But when it comes to when we're conscious of it, we hold back a lot. I'm hoping that people will listen to you right now and make it a part of their lives.
Exactly. And making sure that you get to tell your narrative and don't let people tell it for you, because theirs might be false or their lens may not be the right lens for that story. So just being sure that the perspective is accurate and it's transformative. You learn something from it. Yeah. That's why we tell stories and study history.
Yeah, and I love stories. Stories are so much better. So let's talk about the United Shades of STEM. Okay, so you're helping to expand digital and AI fluency with cultural relevance. Like this is a part that I love so much. So let's talk about why culturally relevant STEM education is important, especially now in this AI innovation transition, transformation, whatever you call it, that we're in.
So just kind of lay the groundwork a little bit. The United Shades of STEM is a nonprofit that I launched last year because I have been in the nonprofit space. I would say STEM is why it really got me into it, like hands-on like this. But basically, I saw an opportunity for more STEM organizations to partner and work together more strategically. It's already a uphill journey. Funding is not flourishing for everybody. And I saw an opportunity for us to leverage our resources so that we could align on the common cause. Like a lot of the STEM organizations, we're working on the same thing, empowering people. We're usually focusing on young people. Empowering means you want it to be equitable. Like everybody they have equitable access to achieve. And so I launched this because I saw more opportunities for us to strategically partner. I really want to focus on getting students ready for workforce and leveraging the necessary skills for that. And they're changing so fast. Like if somebody is in middle school now and they're excited about coding, I'll just say that. Well, guess what? Now with AI, you don't even have to code a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of no code things happening now. Not to say we don't need coders, but how we need that might change. So they're getting developed, or they need to be getting developed for jobs that don't even exist yet, right? It's an evolving and an emerging pipeline. The skills needed are evolving and emerging. So I started this to keep a closer watch on it because I'm seeing it in my work space. I'm also involved. I go to conferences and things like that where I can be in communities to hear from academia, to hear from other professionals on what they think we're going to need. What kind of skills are we going to need? How should we be shaping these future learners? So definitely wanted it to be inclusive. Anybody can participate as long as it resonates with them that this is a space for all capable human potential. Like we can't afford to exclude people. And I think people miss that message. They get this new narrative out there, I'm just going to go ahead and say anti-DEI narrative that's not correct out there, is making people feel that elevating me is diminishing someone else. And that's not the case. That's not the case at all. The case is that we need me and you. We need both of us. Because the demands on this pipeline, whether you come in through the pipeline or you have another entry point, the demands on what we need is so high. We can't afford to leave capable human potential on the table that's untapped. We can't afford to just say, you know what? I don't want women working on this. We need all capable brains to solve the problems of today and the ones we don't even know exist that are coming at us. So that's the angle that I have. That's the name, like getting everyone, all shades involved.
All shades involved. Yeah, I love that. And I always say it's not a zero-sum game. It was never a zero-sum game, and it's not going to be a zero-sum game. However, I think sometimes certain narratives are being pushed forward so that, people are distracted while other people are doing stuff. Because I come from a country where the powers that be, regardless of religion or cultural or tribal affiliations, they all move together and do business together. But the moment there's something, they have a fallout, they come down to the masses and tell them, hey. And then while you're fighting, they make up and they move on with their lives. So it's one of those things where we kind of get easily distracted by certain things because it just keeps you from maybe asking the questions that you need to ask to move your life forward and just have a better life in general. So I really absolutely love that. I know you talked about having different communities of musicians that are doing the same work and bringing them together. Are you able to kind of talk about people that you're looking forward to partnering with?
Look, I want to make sure I get this mission out there too. The mission is to expand the STEM talent pipeline through strategic partnering, okay, and by empowering all capable human potential to innovate, improve, and globally impact people and our planet towards a prosperous future. That's our mission. Okay. Who have I partnered with? Definitely NSBE. I wear that NSBE hat. So I see where I can work on programming through United Shades of STEM and connect with people through NSBE. That's a ready-made critical mass right there. Yeah. So definitely NSBE. Have also partnered with a library in Greensboro where we recently had an orchestrated a Black History STEM Expo. It was like an intensive for 3 weeks. And we even had Miss Catherine Moore, who's the daughter of Katherine Johnson. She's in Greensboro, North Carolina. So we had a hybrid program with her, as well as one of the founders of NSBE, Mr. George A. Smith. They connected with the youth. This was elementary, middle, and high school youth who participated. And they learned to use system thinking to be social justice engineers. But just like we just discussed, they were using system thinking to solve social issues. They found one that they wanted to work on, and they did a system diagram to break that thing down. They did surveys, they collected data, they analyzed it, and they came up with potential solutions. So they kind of walked through a use of the tools in a non-traditional way. So that's another one that I have partnered with, Garner Road Community Center here in Raleigh. They have a number of programs that run through there where youth are participating on a regular basis. So going to their STEM activities and participating there, doing expos there as well. And I'm hoping to plan something later this year, another community, like a community expo in the Raleigh area where youth will be able to come out and get exposed to robotics. We've done this in the past, to get exposed to a little buffet of things, robotics, AI. We also got to get the life sciences in there. There's a lot of students that are wanting to work more with people and animals and understanding the sciences that help life continue to thrive, as well as environmental. So I got to get more exposure in those areas to students, because those are definitely some of the jobs you're going to need in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And I just kind of thinking about the last thing you said, which is the jobs are going to need in the future. You talked about people that you've partnered with or had conversations with, or spaces that you've been in where people are trying to talk about what jobs in the future are we going to be preparing students and the youth for. I have this newsletter that I send out every Friday about what's happening with AI. And one of the conversations is you're trying to regulate something, and the way things move, before you even get your act together, they've had like 3 other versions of that. It's like
There you
release
go.
a new thing. So we've seen in the last 2 years, careers pop up and literally disappear and a new one pop up. So if you're in a position where you're thinking about predicting what it's going to be, like how do people do that? I'm just curious.
You know what? That's a very good question. Well, they look at what's presented, like what's ahead of us. As an example, 20 years ago, did we even know what cybersecurity was? No, like that wasn't anything we were talking about. But hey, as bad actors started learning ways to dupe money out of people and find vulnerable points of how they could put their name on somebody's house and they not know it, or steal their credit card while it's still in their wallet. Like, unfortunately, we learned the hard way of what we need. We could be more proactive. Sometimes we probably can be or are, but looking at where there's opportunities to solve problems, what's impacting people that we can work towards fixing. And that creates a new job title at some point. That creates a new role, a new expertise, a new discipline that's going to help society. And I definitely, like I said, I am expecting us to see more in the environmental side, maybe some new positions, because we definitely see how global warming, I know some people don't think it exists, but it does. We're definitely seeing more volatility in the atmosphere, more turbulence in the atmosphere, more storms popping up without a lot of notice. So perhaps we should be working on the buildings that we call homes. Maybe we should build them out of something different. Maybe we should look at the construction and the design. Maybe there's some evolution that needs to happen in the materials and how we put a house together. So problems, unfortunately, will come that cause us to change what we're doing and point us to a new direction or a new philosophy or school of thought on how we go about it.
Yeah.
Another one that just came through, okay? This one is settled a little bit, but because we wanted to have less emissions in the environment, we start going electric vehicles. We start moving more towards electricity in our vehicles and moving in that direction. However, we don't have enough charging stations out there. Like we kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit. So making sure that we're prepared for that shift and change, right? That's going to be important that we're prepared for the shift and change. So if someone is sitting here saying, well, I want to choose something that's going to be in demand in the future, I definitely would look into the electrification and the electrical field, because as we get ready for, I won't say get ready, we're already in it, this new AI revolution, we're going to need more data centers, okay? So you're going to need a lot of people that can build those. You're going to need people to know the skill sets for those. We're going to need people who are able to help calculate the mathematical models to predict how much electricity they need to produce, how much power they need to provide. So looking at where we are and where we need to go, that's how we identify what's coming up. What are the skills we should be working on? We may not know the title for that job, but it does give us a compass of which way we should point our energy.
Yeah, and just from what you said, what I'm getting is before now, we made a decision based on what is current.
There
I
you
want to be
go.
a doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the world is moving is requiring us to, first of all, be more introspective, be self-aware, to actually be more strategic, to try to have that. In engineering, they always talk about the 3,000 feet view, because if you're siloed, or if you're a little bit like short-sighted or myopic, you won't be able to see the bigger picture, and you won't be able to assess what will make the most sense for you in your career. So it seems like it's a lot, but it really isn't, because there's information out there. And now it's easier to, before you had to go to the library, and then after that you had to go on Google and get like 1 million results. But now, not saying that you should take everything that the LLMs give you, but now you can actually just ask for information that talks specifically about certain things. You can read it all, you can have it summarized, you can have it put on a podcast so that when you're walking or running, you can listen to it. So basically, what I'm hearing from you is that we can figure it out. We just need to do a little bit of work. And the work is easier now with AI.
It's easy to get the information.
Yes,
now, the other thing I want to add here, because you did mention some traditional skills and disciplines, like, being an accountant, a teacher, a lawyer, entrepreneur, the trades. I definitely don't want to forget about the trades, because we actually do need a lot more people in the trades. Okay. We can't build the data centers without people who know how to build, right, and construct. Yeah. So we still need people that can do the hands-on trades. I don't see AI impacting those jobs. We need plumbers. Don't see AI doing that. So we still need people that have those hands-on skills as well. So that's one thing I want to make sure I mention. The other thing is that work is becoming a lot more interdisciplinary.
Yes.
A lot of students getting ready to go off to school, they're like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. You know what? Just point yourself in the direction. It's not as clear as you want it to be. And it may not be something you're going to do for the next 10 years. You might only do this thing for 5. And then something else is going to come along. That's a degree that you hadn't even thought of, a job title you don't even know exists. A lot of things are interdisciplinary, meaning that the community that we talked about, you're going to have to lean on people from different disciplines to work together and collaborate more. It's kind of like Star Trek. You have all this journey, and they all are bringing their best selves together to figure out which way to go. So a lot of the work that we need to do now is not just dependent on us. We don't have all the answers, and we have to learn how to interact with other people in their expertise. So a lot of things are a lot more interdisciplinary, meaning that just one discipline alone is not enough to get to the next best society, the next best product, the next best whatever that thing is. It doesn't mean I have to go out and get all these degrees either. It might mean I go get a certificate in something. I learn a little bit about it, but there may be someone who has deeper knowledge than me, because that's their thing. They're studying it, they're evolving it, they're focusing on it. To start thinking about that, like, I won't have the answers to everything because stuff is moving so fast. I may not have time to go get a whole degree in this thing. I might just have to go learn on my own, do some implicit, knowledge gaining. I mean, I'm just learning from people who've already done it, and know my guardrails, know when I'm outside of my expertise and I need to get someone else involved.
And this is where relationship building comes in, and just expanding your network, because to your point, things are moving so fast. So it actually serves you to just know who knows what and what they can do, so that if you come to that situation where it's not something they can handle, you immediately know who to reach out to. or at least who knows who to reach out to. So
Yes, your
it
network.
become more imperative that we work in community with people.
Exactly.
So
Hmm.
interdisciplinary, interpersonal, all of that is happening right
Yes.
now. It's kind of interesting that AI is actually making us more human. But hey,
There you go.
I will
Yep.
take that any
Hmm.
day.
Exactly.
So we're going to take a little break to get a message from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. If you love this podcast, there's so much more to love. So every week, I share AI and career advancement strategies and leadership development insights straight to your inbox. So today, if you haven't already, subscribe to the AWI STEM newsletter. It's a free newsletter, it's practical, and it's built to help you get to the next level in your career faster. So the link is in the show notes. Subscribe today. All right, and so we're back. Kind of going from what we just talked about because, listen, I don't think anybody has explained it the way you have, but when you were done talking, there's so much hope. And let's just lean into that hope, right? So your work helps people envision and design their hopeful future. Right now, things are really tough. People are getting laid off every day. It's
Yep.
ridiculous. It's like in thousands, tens of thousands via email with nothing to fall back on. So now that it seems that a lot of us are just living in that I'm just trying to survive state, how can we move from that to actually believe that there are bigger things that are possible for us in our lives and lean more into that?
That starts with your personal beliefs, philosophy, and grounding. Okay. Faith is very important right now. Okay. Having a higher power bigger than you, it helps you get to that hopeful frame of thought. Okay. And making sure that you have time to meditate, reflect, study, and draw energy from that. If you don't, the only thing you're getting is what you're seeing from the world. You can definitely get all of the bad news all day long, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
definitely get that. But we don't get enough of the positive impartation into our souls. We don't get enough of that that helps us get our brains working and thinking with the positive energy. So definitely, as we go through some rocky times right now, you know, how do we get through these tough times? How can we stay focused and disciplined towards hopeful thinking and hopeful future, my best self, in spite of everything around me that seems to be falling apart or just, I'm I don't know what the future holds. Like a lot of people kind of like working in that mode. We were kind of like that with the pandemic. We definitely don't want to go through another one, right? We all can agree that no, we're not going back there. So what can we do to stay hopeful so we don't get back there? There's definitely tangible things people should be doing, right? So again, taking that big problem, breaking that thing down and saying, okay, despite everything that's going on, I can't control all that stuff. But what can I control that I'm not doing? It's just a matter of me, my own personal behavior or my habits that's keeping me from getting to the next level. Those are things that we can control. Focus on those vital factors in your life that you can actually do something about. Okay. And stay disciplined on those. And when you feel yourself not being as focused anymore, like this is not, I'm getting frustrated with trying to do what I'm trying to do. That's when you draw from that higher power that keeps you focused, that keeps you on the right track. And if you're doing something, you have to be transparent with yourself too. A lot of times we don't like to look at ourselves in the mirror, but you have to be transparent with yourself and where you are to keep moving in the direction you want to go. And it's good to have like-minded community around you or friends, family that support you. Have people that you can trust to help build you up and be transparent with you. And you can listen to them. You may not like what they're saying, but you definitely can respect them enough because they love you and they demonstrated this. So have people that can pour into you. That's how we get through this. We have to have a community helping us move forward. And when you're trying to pull this together for your career, same thing. I know people may be in a career spot. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not moving anywhere. I need to get out of here. Sometimes that's the best spot. It's something that you can do, but you may not want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the time you go learn something else. While you got this thing going that you got down to a science and you can manage it, but you just don't want to do it anymore. Maybe that's the time to go learn to build yourself up for the next thing. Sometimes we jump too fast. We get impatient too quickly and we make an impulsive decision to do something. So just be patient and really analyzing what opportunities are presented in that moment. I may not like where I am right now, but let me take some time to give myself time to think about strategically what I'm going to do next and start working on it and be more intentional about how I move to the next level.
I mean, that's really key and very important because it's so much easier to focus on the things that we cannot do.
True.
However, there are a lot of things that we can do and we have control over. There's something that I learned in the last year or two, which is I've been hearing about it since like COVID, but I was like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make sense to me. But I realized that I started working on, to your point, things that we control, that everything that is happening is not happening to me, it's happening.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's like I make it external to me so that I can sit here and look at it and be like, so how do I come in? Can I come in? Should I come in? Because I think the moment we start thinking, oh, this is happening to me, immediately there's kind of like this block and we kind of sit in that sadness or with all that weight, and it makes it difficult to pretty much kind of move on, progress, find a solution that makes sense. And to your point, just that belief in something bigger than ourselves, because meditation actually just helps.
Exactly.
Because it helped me like clear my system and everything's just out there.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can go about my day. The problem may not be solved, but it's not about me. It's a problem and it's there.
Yes.
So that this body can be free, the mind and soul and spirit can be free to just do all the things that I can do, and then figure out that one if I can or not. It doesn't really matter at this point. But that is so key. And it's one of those things where we actually have more power than we think we do, but it's just we're so busy that we don't have time to sit still and figure out what is it that I can control, really.
Yes. I will mention here too, the other nonprofit that I got started last year is the Arnold Legacy Center. Mm-hmm. And this is named and launched basically from the blueprint that my parents left me and my siblings. Raymond Arnold Jr. and my mother, Mary Ferguson Arnold, they were school teachers. They were educators. But not only did they teach inside the classroom, they taught outside the classroom. Mm-hmm. They really coached a lot of people on just life and getting their footing and getting their start in life. They really wanted people to get educated on something, an education or vocation. So that's a key. It opens doors for you. So they really, really focus on that. But through this organization, I want to take the blueprint that they've already written for me and operationalize that more tangibly and structure that. We just started that with actually going on right now. We're in the process of finalizing our first 2 scholarship recipients. So we launched a scholarship fund. Actually, the day my father passed in 2020, instead of getting flowers, we said, you know what? Let's do something purposeful, intentional in his memory. And we launched this scholarship fund called the Arnold Family Legacy Scholarship. It's at arnoldlegacycenter.com if people are interested in seeing it. But the scholarship cycle is November 1st to March 31st. And in June, we'll be announcing who those winners are. But basically, not only are we going to focus on education, but we want people to have a transformative, hopeful lifestyle. How do we take the blueprint? How do we take the engineering tools that we discussed earlier and apply that to someone's life and give them a blueprint to follow? And yes, stuff comes and changes it. Unexpected things happen because that's just how life is. But how do you continue to navigate? There's some things that are foundational that you need to still be able to navigate and reach your fullest potential.
I agree. So sorry about your dad, and thank you for sharing that information. We're going to make sure to put that in the show notes so that everybody can go and find out more about your work and how they can support the students and people that you're trying to get into this whole system where our lives are improved just by proximity to the right people.
Right.
And I can't believe we're here. I say this all the time, and I'm sure my listeners
know.
I'm hearing this. It moves so fast. Oh, but I want to ask about, because legacy is really important to me, and I believe that to your point about the work that you do kind of found you because you're the person for it. So, and when you do that work, there's definitely something that you look forward to leaving behind. So when you think about the future of STEM, the future of leadership, and the future of all the communities that you have built, you're a part of and that you serve, what do you hope people will experience differently because of what you've created, because of the systems you've put in place, and because of the opportunities that you've brought to them?
You know what? I hope that they envision a better self. They never lose hope for that. They never lose sight of that. And they also feel equipped to do it. They feel equipped to do it and empowered to do it. A better self. And by becoming a better self, they feel convicted. Strong word, but they feel like there is a part of them that has to give that back. They don't become selfish. They don't say, well, I got mine, I'm out of here. They actually feel that they owe something back to society that's going to help lift other people. And that's what community is, common unity. That's what it is. That's us wanting to make sure that the universe, where we function, this is a system that we all are part of. Whether we want to be in it or not, we're in it. So we might as well go ahead and make this thing work together and do our part. Be transparent with what we are in our walk and what we do good and what we don't do good. But also feel gratitude. When you help someone else, that's fulfilling for you. That's a positive energy for you. That puts something back in you. That imparts in you. So that's how we get our inspiration. We see what our work is doing for others. Even if people don't come back and say thank you, that's okay. That maybe they didn't think about it, whoever. You did what you were supposed to do. So that's fulfilling for you. And just making sure that we take time for self. I know it's so easy for us to think about everybody else and not self. But we do have to take time for self. When you get on the plane, the first thing they say, when they go through hey, put your mask on first, and then you help. You gotta make sure you can breathe.
Yeah.
That you have the air that you need to breathe before you can help other people.
Yeah, I love that. And Dr. Tony, thank you so much for coming in here today and for all the incredible knowledge, insight, whatever. I'm floored. I don't know. I'm so excited, to be honest, but this is so good. I'm hoping if you listen, please go back and listen again and again because there's so many nuggets in here. But I want to ask you, what are you working on right now and where can people find you, connect with you, and collaborate with you?
Sure. You know what? LinkedIn is a great way. Find me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll give you my information for that. Antonia Arnold-McFarland is how you'll find me out there. UnitedShadesOfSTEM.org. That's how you can find out what we have going on with United Shades of STEM and the activities that are there to grow the STEM community. And ArnoldLegacyCenter.com. Just got that one up and going. We're still pulling some stuff together. It's so fresh and new. We started doing the work before we had all of the tangible things in place, but it's more important that we actually start living the mission, right? We started living the mission as soon as we said, this is what we got to do. And now we're going back and getting the site updated and all those things. But there's so much out there that people need. We just didn't want to wait till we had all our I's dotted and T's crossed and say, oh, we're up and running. No, we've been up and running already. And those are places where people connect with me. If something I said inspired you and you need a public speaker for something, if you have, like, for example, a group of young women that you would like for me to speak to, because I know women, a lot of times we are the people who forget about ourselves, and society hasn't been that friendly to us all the time. So we have to take care of each other. Or just a youth group, people that need to be empowered and enriched. Let me know. If something I said today resonated with you, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, and she means it. If you're listening, make sure you follow Dr. Tony. And she said to reach out, so make sure you do reach out. So tag us and share what you learned today from this episode. And if there's anything you appreciated that Dr. Tony shared, let her know, okay? Let us know. And one of the ways you can support this podcast is by leaving us a written review so that in future solo episodes, I'll be shouting some of you out and reading out the reviews on air. So thank you again, Dr. Tony. I really appreciate you being here and giving us this time and all this knowledge and all this opportunity to actually do more in our life and in the world. So thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me. Have a great one.
You too. Please come back again next week for the next episode. Bye.